I'm giving you knowledge all the way through, and I'm gonna go back a little bit to college too, because that changed my life. Allows me to sit here and tell you why am I successful today and why you can be successful. So everybody should come on board. They should come on board and listen.
So let me do the intro real quick.
It's free.
Because I know you coming in full force. So let me do the intro real quick.
Absolutely. You know, take your time. Like I said, I know you have to give a few. I watch my boy Kevin Hart, Steve Harvey. Whenever they go live, they always give you a few minutes. Gather your roots. Tell people we're on the air. I'm gonna give you a few minutes. So nobody ever starts on time. Okay, not on IG, not on Facebook. It's the way you have to do it, because people go, "Oh, I forgot Renee Adams Show is on." Okay, cool. So
that's right. I love it. Thank you so much.
We good.
To the Renee Adams Show and Empowerment Week. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to my page. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, leave me a message. If you have an inspiring story or product that you would like to promote, please inbox me. And tonight I have my guest, Rushion McDonald, who is already basically did his intro. But it's okay. We're doing things differently on the show tonight, as we have someone very special. So he is a 2-time Emmy Award-winning, 3-time NAACP Image Award-winning television executive producer. His marketing and branding skills built a career of Steve Harvey, and he has also written and produced for Kevin Hart, Taraji P. Henson, Monique, Gabrielle Union, and Jamie Foxx. So welcome to the show, and thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to have you on.
Absolutely. You know, Monique was in my life on The Parkers. She won an Oscar, you know, in the movie Precious. And then Jamie Foxx was in my life when I was co-executive producing the Jamie Foxx Show. Of course, he won an Oscar for Ray. And then Taraji P. Henson was in my life on Think Like a Man and Think Like a Man 2. And Gabrielle Union, who also did Think Like a Man, Think Like a Man 2. I basically, on Sister, when I was doing the sitcom for Tia and Tamara Mowry, is when she came into my life. So a lot of people have been in my life. Nick Cannon, he came into my life basically when I was doing Jamie Foxx Show. So these individuals who you just mentioned are just people who I've known a long time, and I feel fortunate that I had an impact in their lives. And of course, with me speaking to you today, obviously it had an impact in my life too.
Yes. Oh, that's so amazing. Yeah. I mean, your career, and just to let people kind of know how Rushion and I met, you know, we were, I mean, kind of like the blind, it's the LinkedIn friends, right?
Right.
You don't really know who your friends are until you know, right? So you start to really dig a little deeper into, you know, their profile a little bit and their posts. The post is the most important thing. So I was like, who is this guy? You know, I'm noticing his posts and all these awesome celebrities,
right?
For his podcast, the podcast that you have, which is
Money Making Conversations. I would say moneymakingconversation.com so I can drive them to the website.
Oh, absolutely. And he's on, the YouTube, and I noticed, you know, the numbers on those, which is amazing. I watch your show. So yeah, I was like, who is this guy? You know, like he has a podcast and all these amazing guests, and I couldn't help but to, you know, send him a message like, wow. And he said something in the way that made me think like, this guy, what is up with him? He was like, oh, I'm glad that you noticed. I'm like, oh.
Yes.
Right. Well, I can't help but to notice, and I give credit where credit is due. I'm like, well, good for him. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But yeah, he had much success on your show, and I noticed that. So I'm like, wow, I need to really pay attention to this guy.
you know, it's something I started. I stopped managing Steve Harvey in 2016. And in 2016, I was kind of like trying to find my footing. You know, he was everything to me as far as my name, my branding. I managed him from 2000 to 2016. We did a syndicated radio show. I launched that. Family Feud, I did that contract. The Think Like a Man books that went 3 million copies worldwide, 30 different translations into the book. We did the other 2 number one bestsellers that I did with him as well. And I did the Steve Harvey talk show contract. And so all these things are just tied into him. And so in 2016, when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I didn't know. I didn't know what my brand was. And people go, you know what your brand was? No, it was tied to him. I didn't know. I didn't know who I could talk to or why they were talking to me. And so Money Making Conversation kind of like gave me a platform to understand and get my voice and bring value into my life that I could relate to.
What's even more fascinating is just how you started.
Right.
And all the different transitions
right.
Through your career, which were life-changing transitions that you kind of did effortlessly without even looking back.
Well, I don't know if they were effortlessly, Renee. I think that when my lung collapsed and I was in the hospital for 30 days in 1990, arrogance. At that point in my life, that's why I always love youth. I love youth people because they're immortal. There's an invincibility about people who are young. And so when my lung collapsed, I just thought I'd be in the hospital for a couple of days. And so it didn't. And I was in the hospital for 30 days and they had to do surgery on my right lung because I had a cyst. And so I was out of action for like 6 months. I mean, I went from the top of the next thing in comedy to in the hospital for 30 days and then out of circulation for 6 months. And so that can happen to you like that. So, but what you don't do in that whole process is give up. What you don't do is believe and feel sorry for yourself and do the, oh, woe is me. I started planning. I started understanding. October 11th, 1990, I said to myself, I was going to take advantage of every gift that God gave me.
Yes. Yeah.
Every gift, I was going to give 100%. And so that's why when people look at me, they say, wow, he does so many things. He pivots real quick, because when God gives me an opening, I don't sit around and wait. I don't sit around and debate. I don't sit around and let people tell me what I cannot do. I go for it, but I go for it with a plan.
So was there someone in your life who was an inspiration or motivation for you to I mean, because when we think about even your degree, you have a degree in mathematics.
Right. My minor is sociology. And so, and sociology changed my life, by the way, because when I took African studies and sociology, I realized when I see what's happening today with the Confederate statues and if you don't know history, if you don't know what happened to Black people and what Black people have contributed, that part has been removed from books. It's been totally removed. When you look at Black people and their history in America, we were brought over against our will through slavery. Then we were freed by Abraham Lincoln. And then they fast forward to Brown versus the Board of Education. Then they go to the Civil Rights Act. Then the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. That's it. That's it. They don't talk about none of our technical contributions. They don't talk about anything. They buried Jim Crow. They buried the racist behavior of white people against Black people. And between 1876 and 1872, over 20,000 people were killed.
Wow.
In pursuit of higher education. That's how bad it is in America. If you don't know that, that's why when I see what's happening in America to now, I always tell people you have to vote. Not voting is not an option if you don't vote. A person of color can be an endangered species.
Mandatory and critical.
In the White House.
And critical. Absolutely. So I'm glad that you brought that into this as well. But let's talk about the mindset of, because, when I think about when I was trying to ask you as far as your inspiration and motivation behind everything, I think that's kind of where you got into the African-American history and things like that. But what kind of mindset does it take to actually be able to transition as though you have in the way that you have? Going from, being a comedian to managing Steve Harvey. But not only that, it's about having the knowledge and this belief in yourself to say, I can do this, but then be highly successful at it. What kind of mindset does that?
Well, I work. I do a lot of homework. I remember Steve Harvey used to always tell me, he said, Rushion, you think you know everything? And I said, yes, I do. I wasn't going to sit up here and tell them I don't. I got to have answers. You have to have answers. When people turn to you and they want to be successful and they're looking at you to shape their careers, then you have to be a person that has an answer. You have to watch all the TV shows. You have to read all the magazines, all the newspapers. You have to know the competition, know why you're ahead of the competition, know what's best, looking 5 years down the line, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line. I always look at least a year in advance because that's the only way you can make money. You can only make money if you look in advance. What happens with the average American, they live their life on 30-day cycles. You can't get ahead if you live a life on 30-day cycles, because that means you only worry about immediate expenses, which means you can't save. You can only save if you say, look, a year from now, I want to save $1,000. Well, if you're living on a 30-day cycle, you won't ever save that $1,000. You're going to spend it.
Right.
So when I look at my life and what I did, and you say, Richard, how do you pivot? I pivot because of the fact that I'm not afraid of change. The average person is afraid of change. The average person is being held back by their husband, by their girlfriend, by their mate, by their boyfriend, by their kids, by their pastor, by their co-worker, by their supervisor. And we allow people to introduce negative spirit into your life. And you accept that negative spirit as a reality, and that's how we live our lives today. Unhappy, unsatisfied, and question our ability to be successful.
So, I mean, why did Steve choose you?
Well, I met Steve Steve and I met in '86. I was doing stand-up comedy. He was my opening act.
Okay.
And so that's how I was headlining the show in Houston, Texas. That's how we met. And so, but we stayed in touch over the years. And so when he got his first television show, ABC Me and the Boys, he asked me to be a writer on the show. So he gave me my really first writing opportunity as a sitcom writer, because that's what I wanted to do. He asked me, I was playing my comedy club in Houston, Texas, the Hip Hop Comedy Stop. It was a very popular comedy club in Houston, Texas. And he asked me what I wanted to do. And I said, I wanted to write. He said, wow, but you're so good as a stand-up. I said, no, I just want to write, Steve. I want to be a producer. I want to really look at my skill. And by the way, I had already saw Steve Harvey on stage the night before, and I realized I could never be as funny as that dude. So I go, okay, Rushion, what are you? It's like watching. If you're looking at the fastest runner and you know you can't beat that runner, then you start gauging what is your goal, what is your aspirations. So my aspirations became a reality. Do what you feel comfortable doing. Even though you're gifted as a stand-up, even though you're very funny, that was not what I was comfortable doing. I was never comfortable going on stage. Okay. And so watching him showed me, here's a guy who's tied to passion. He really did love stand-up. What did I really like? I really like writing. I really like producing. So when he gave me my first opportunity on Me and the Boys, it got me in, and I went from there to Robert Townsend. From Robert Townsend, I went to our City Hall show. From our City Hall show, I went to Sister, did Jamie Foxx, the Parkers. And then while I was on the Parkers, he asked me to manage him when our best friend who was managing him at the time died of a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So he basically was able to see through your work, through these different sitcoms, and you as a writer to know that you would be right for him to manage his career. Is that correct?
Right, because I had an opportunity. I had the opportunity to come right on his sitcom, or I could forge my own career. And that's what I did. Otherwise, if I'd have went and did the Steve Harvey show, my resume would have only been the Steve Harvey show. My whole career would have been Steve Harvey. Okay?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, what do you think you were more effortless at doing? Was it being a comedian, or was it the writing, or was it managing his career? What do you think was more?
All of it's difficult, Renee. All of it's difficult. Right. Nothing's ever easy. And I don't want to tell people, dreams, to accomplish your dream is being an entrepreneur. Doing this show that you're doing is not easy. You know, you made an effort to contact me to get on the show. A lot of people, that takes effort, you know, and I responded back, and then we got into this motion of sitting here. And so it's what people consider that I always use the word negative spirit. People will tell you, girl, why are you doing that? You'll never be this. You'll never be next Oprah. You'll never be Tamara Hall. I'm pretty sure people told Tamara Hall she wouldn't be on TV.
That's right.
Sure when she left NBC, people said, girl, your career is dead.
Right.
You left NBC, girl. You're NBC on TV. Okay.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, life is difficult. Me being here, I got up at 4 a.m. this morning. Okay. 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's 6:17 Eastern Standard Time. Okay. But I made a commitment to you to do this show, and I'm comfortable with doing it. But know that within that spectrum, there's a lot of hard work, because I have to still be fresh. I have to still have an energy that plays well on your show, and have to be informative. So there's nothing easy about being successful, Renee.
And I agree with you on that. And one of the things that you do talk about when it comes to being successful is setting the time that you get up every single day to start your day. Right. And that's part of it. And I wanted to get into, you know, the success and some tips and tricks on how to be more successful, not just because success is different in everybody's eyes, you know. And maybe I should ask you first what your definition of success is.
Well, I'd say that at the top of my podcast, every time I introduce an act, that everybody has a different definition of success. Mm-hmm. For some people, it's a sizable paycheck. Mine is helping people live out their dreams and accomplishing their goals. That's my definition of success for Rushion Mcdonald. Since I was 18 years old, that has been my DNA, Renee, helping people accomplish their dreams. When I look back, that's all I've ever done. In college, I can remember, helping students, tutoring people, making sure they got their shot at success. And it is filtered through my whole life as a manager of talent, a producer of shows, charities I've been associated with, boys clubs, starting the Dreamers Academy with Disney and Steve Harvey, the HBCU week opportunities I've given with ESPN 2 years in a row. First year, we raised $3.9 million in scholarship dollars for HBCU. This year, we raised $7.2 million in scholarship dollars for HBCUs. That's over $11 million over a 2-year period that we generated scholarship dollars for HBCUs, for students who want to attend HBCUs. And so that's my DNA. And so when I look at a person like you who's striving for successful, trying to be successful at a level that a lot of people question, then I have to be there for you.
Wow. Okay. Well, that says a lot about you. Because you do have to give a hand back, because it always comes back to you in some kind of way too. And it's not the way that you necessarily look at it, but if you're successful, you should give a hand back. That's the way you build relationships, and that's how opportunities come to you in all different kinds of forms that you may be ready for at that particular time and moment. Because I feel like everybody that I reach out to or that comes to me, there's a timing on all of this. There's a timing. And so if you say no to me at one point, I'm okay with that. It's okay. Because one day, just like I say, Michelle Obama, I will be interviewing her one day.
Absolutely.
Time.
And there's no reason that cannot happen. But what happens is you let people step into your life for several reasons. Some people can step in your life to support you. Some people can step in your life to be nosy about what you're trying to do. And some people will step in your life to stop your dreams. Mm-hmm. So the two people that you have to avoid is the people who are nosy and the people who are going to stop your dreams. The ones who are nosy, they're not there to support you. They're here to get information about you. And when they get information about you, then guess what? They can be a stopgap. And those are people who come into your life that you think are there to support you, but they're there just to gather information about why you getting a benefit. Are you successful? And they're not.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. No, I have run into those. And sometimes you're unaware of those types of people. But when you start to become more aware of just, things in general, like we're becoming more open to noticing those kind of things. I mean, especially when you are in the public eye more, you notice a lot more than when you weren't. And it's if you've been in it for a while, like you could be totally, you could be a little blindsided by who's real and who's fake. But if you weren't successful, you can kind of see who's normal. And then when you start getting into success,
I'm sorry. There you go.
Okay. Do you feel like you notice that when because you've been, pretty successful for.
Well, here's my whole thought about success, failure, about stepping up in the situation where people will question your beliefs. First of all, I come from the inner city, 6 sisters, 2 brothers. My father, truck driver, 3rd grade education. My mom, she graduated from high school. That was it. And so moved from Shreveport, Louisiana to Houston, Texas. When you look at statistics, I'm not supposed to be on the phone talking to you. I'm not supposed to be on Facebook talking to you. But I was delivered an opportunity to be successful because people believed in me. Mm. People thought I was special. I can remember my middle school teacher thought I was special. I remember my high school students, Miss Georgia Nelson and Miss Traylor, they thought I was special. And they pushed me and encouraged me. That's why I'm always encouraging young people. Nobody should say anything negative ever to a young person because their minds need to be shaped. And so you turn around and guess what we do? We carry that same negative energy to adults. Mm. And so what happens is when you live an everyday job, a 9 to 5, well, you're not going to experience what I experienced because I'm not living a normal life. So people will challenge me about what I'm doing and question my ability to be successful, even though they don't know how I'm being successful. I will tell people, if you want to be a doctor, you don't talk to a mechanic.
No, you don't. No, you're not getting anywhere with that.
You're not getting anywhere with that. But people do that all the time.
Right.
They go there for advice, not understanding that that person that's giving you advice doesn't have a clue to the amount of work it will take for you to be successful. And so mentors play a major role in us understanding what we can do. And millennials discovered that. And that's why they're moving so fast up the track of success, because they understand the value of mentoring. We as older people, we did not understand the value of mentoring. And so we felt that we shouldn't be bugging people. We shouldn't be bothering people. We don't want to let them think we don't know nothing. We don't want to be shamed by what we don't know. Young people don't care. They come up and tell you they don't know.
Right. And I remember you said something about, while we're on this topic, you said something about the way that you can become successful in a faster amount of time is by setting, weekly goals instead of the...
Well, you said, first of all, you shorten your goals, Renee. This is what people do. That's a big mistake. They sit down, they plan stuff. You hear me say stuff like, I planned a year, 5 years. Okay, I got a muscle in my body now, in my brain, of how I can plan stuff and foresee stuff. Okay. Now that muscle didn't happen overnight. Okay. When I was in college and I was struggling and I was nowhere near graduating my first 4 years of college, I was like a high sophomore, right? And so I graduated in 7 years. Okay. So that meant that when I figured it out, my acceleration curve just blew up, and I was just on fire after that. But I pledged Omega Psi Phi because of the fact that I needed a short window to pledge. I needed a short window to complete a goal because I was struggling in college. There's no way I was going to graduate I didn't know. I was in college 4 years. I was still a sophomore. Okay. So I needed a goal. And so when they told me the pledge program, I knew a lot of my friends had already pledged Omega Psi Phi was 6 weeks. I said, okay, that's a short window. Okay, I can do that. It turned out to be 13 weeks, but I still finished it, and it changed my life. Wow. Because after that, I became very goal-oriented, and all my goals were tied to, okay, if I do that for 13 weeks, okay, I'm going to do my fall semester. I can do that. I'm doing a spring semester. Yeah. And so made the dean's list. And next thing I knew, I graduated in 3 years with a math degree. Because when I came to college, I went from a civil engineer to a chemical engineer to a computer science major. All the while, I was trying to find out easy route to graduate. When somebody told me somebody had an easy class, I signed up for it.
Just so you can graduate and get out.
Absolutely. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, the first 4 years. Okay, if it's easy, go take that class. And that's what people do in life. They get in relationships because they think it's easy. They stay married because they think it's easy. They have children because they think that's what they're supposed to do. But it's never tied to what you want to do. That's why the word selfish is important. In the end, when you wake up in the morning, it has to be about you. Because if you're not happy, guess what? A lot of people around you that you affect will not be happy too.
And I totally, oh my God, I totally I do. And it's so important to live your life that way, because you want to do the inner work first and foremost. That's like the most important thing. You don't want to be, just going in and out of situations or relationships and things like that when you're not ready, because you're not going to be able to really give out that positive energy, because all these negative thoughts is going on through your head, even though they're not spoken, they still are felt. And I do feel that the inner work is so important on so many levels, even when it comes to transitioning into different careers and changing the perspective of the world and the world that you would like to live in. Because immediately when you start making these changes, you start to see the changes around you, and you can be in the lowest part of the world, and that's because your mind is set that way.
Right.
To think and believe in the lowest ways that there are, instead of, because I told somebody that I know, I said, if you never say out loud that you want to make $200,000 a year, you're never going to do it in your life. If those words aren't spoken out loud, it's never going to happen. So you have to speak it into existence, because then the actions start to follow behind it. Even when you don't really realize it, things are starting to happen, because now you're thinking bigger. And the goals that you start to set, those start to get bigger, and the steps start to get larger and larger, because you're expanding your mind, you're opening your mindset and your perspective on life, and the world needs to change as well. You can't think with the same mind as you did before. You need to have a bigger perspective and more open-minded than you ever have in your life. And I think you're a great example of that, because it seems as though your perspective has changed. And so on so many levels, especially with the changing of different careers and going after, this degree and going out in the comedian world, where you have a whole different environment. And then you're managing Steve Harvey, another totally different environment that you're experiencing. And these are different worlds that you transition into, and almost like different dimensions that you transition into, because you're learning different things, more experiences, you're growing in different levels. And maybe, some people, I don't know, math to me is like my worst. And so, for someone that can do mathematics, I mean, you're working with the right and left brain.
Well, I'm working with an opportunity to win, and okay. I think that when I look at what I'm doing, Renee, and first of all, that was fantastic what you just said. Thanks. And because you have to understand a belief, and it has to be tied to planning. And that's why I always tell people, you cannot be around people who don't want to hear what you have to say. Okay, if you have a dream and they're telling you you can't reach your dream, you have to get away from these people. Mm-hmm. I always tell people, everybody has a dream in life, and a lot of people actually shoot for the same opportunity. Mm-hmm. I use Mount Everest as a goal. Okay, people who successfully climb Mount Everest. There are people who don't climb Mount Everest, and there are people who have died on Mount Everest. Mm-hmm. All of them had the same goal. All of them had the same passion. Yes. I like to believe all of them had the same plan. But guess what? That wasn't a plan for you. That's okay. Right. Put your plan in place that works for you, that gives you longevity, that gives you an opportunity to reach your goal and come back and help other people reach their goals. Yeah. I don't think anybody can really be successful unless they give back. Unless they extend that opportunity to your neighbor, to your younger brother, to your sister, to your parents, to the people you don't know, that their lives should be better.
Yes, and something that just came to mind about your story is that although we need to get rid of some of these people and remove them from our lives, but at the end of the day, it's hard for some people to walk that path alone. And that's something that you really need to take into consideration, is that you're going to be a lone wolf for a while. Especially there's not going to be many people that's going to support you and hold your hand and be there when you have to be at a large event where no one. That it's scary to walk into those places that you know no one, but you have to pursue your dream. And and it's almost like I'm not getting any validation. I'm not getting the support. I don't have anybody by my side. So a lot of people have to take that into consideration as far as that fear. That's a fear within itself.
There you go. Come on, Renee, speak it now.
Yeah, that's a fear. And, everybody's dealt with that. Everybody that wants that life and, want to fulfill their dreams to in the pursuit of happiness. It's like, this is what I need to do. This is where I need to be, because I'm called to do this. So I have that belief because I was called here for a reason.
Right.
And you have to know that. You have to believe that. You have to, and what you say, lead with your gifts, right? Mm-hmm. You have to first and foremost know that gift is what's calling you out into the world. And so, and leaving that fear behind, is really going to make the difference. And every time that you step out in new territory and in uncharted territory, it's going to feel like that. But that's what builds the strength.
Right.
And you've been there many times.
Yes, I have. I've been there many times. I don't know why I was there many times, because I didn't believe in myself. I didn't really appreciate what I could be until I got into my 40s, because I relied on people cliches, right place at the right time, knock on wood, all those cliches that we have nothing to do with you being successful.
Mm-hmm.
My success is tied to hard work, team. Listen to me when I tell you this. Hard work. I firmly believe that if you commit yourself to a plan of action, get up on a daily basis, realize there are 24 hours, manage those 24 hours to the best of your abilities to be successful, then you will win. But a lot of people don't. And I can't make you be successful. I can only suggest avenues, a plan of action, but it has to be built on you. And you have to get those negative people out your life. I'm sorry. You cannot win if you cannot climb a mountain if somebody's holding on to your leg.
Yeah, that is so true. Oh my God, it's going to be like a pull and tug of war.
More than a tug of war, it's a level of foolishness that we deal with. And so when people are watching your show and trying to get advice, I'm just telling you something. You cannot win if you don't believe in yourself. You cannot win if you are frustrated every day with the life that you have. You cannot win if you feel that at the age of 40, you cannot do anything else. At the age of 50, you cannot do anything else. At the age of 60, you cannot do anything else. You've already stopped the opportunities by saying to yourself what you cannot do. Yeah. You have to be able to look in the mirror, put down that stop sign, because it's blocking your opportunities. It's blocking your opportunities to believe that you can be successful. It's blocking your opportunity to understand that you are the one that is stopping you from your dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for the passion behind what you just said. Thank you. Yes.
People are, and so people look at me and I have gifts. I do, Renee. I know I am a guy who I think very fast. I can multitask. I can operate on very little sleep. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink tea. I don't drink alcohol. So nothing is injected into my system to motivate me to stay awake or to get up. Wow. But this is what I tell you. This is a key to getting up. The average person goes to bed with no plan of action of what they're going to do when they wake up. If you go to bed saying, when I get up, I'm going to do this, you will easily get out of bed.
Wow.
But the average person goes to bed with no plan of action. Yeah. So when it's time to get up, they're frustrated. So their whole mind is not even motivated to get out of bed. And so what happens to me is, when I go to bed, I know, okay, I got to do this. I got to do this. Okay, cool. Go to sleep. So when that alarm goes off, even though I don't like hearing that alarm, my mind has already told me, Rushion, you got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this. And I get on up. But the average person, that's what happens when you get caught up in a job you don't like. That's what happens when you're in a relationship that you don't want to be in, or sleeping next to somebody you don't want to be in, or kissing somebody that you don't like. All these things stop you from achieving your goals. Mm-hmm. You're not happy with the place you stay. You're not happy with the job you go to every day. So guess what? You stay in bed.
Yeah, no, that's
what you hit the snooze button. Yeah. The worst thing that they created in the world was the snooze button. I don't even understand that.
I don't use it. I stopped using that when I was when I first started high school. I said, okay, no, because I know I'm gonna still sleep. I'm like keep hitting it over and over again. So now it's like and I do use the alarm, but when my alarm goes off, I get right up, like jump out of bed, like. Right. Yeah, I don't hit the snooze button at all. I don't use it. Well,
you get up because in your mind you have something to do, Renee. Mm-hmm. You cannot stand. That bed cannot be your home.
That's right.
Okay. And that's why you get up. The average person who stays in that bed and frustrated with their life have no plans, no success stories about how that day is going to be better for them. There's no relationship pulling them out of bed. There's no job pulling them out of bed.
That's right.
There's no academic or next level opportunity pulling them out of bed. So what do? They stay in bed. Yeah. Oh, I'm not a morning person. Oh, I don't like to get up. I can't get motivated till I get a cup of coffee. If you treat me wrong, I'm gonna treat you wrong too. I feel bad when I see you. I feel bad when I see myself in the mirror. All these people are one person.
That was so good. I love that. Yes. Oh, it's just one person. All these negative thoughts going up through their head.
They go through their head. They just do it. And so when I sit up here and I get an opportunity to speak to you on your show, and when we share motivating ideas, we share values. My job on this show is to hopefully walk away. When you walk away, you go, I'm glad I have him on the show because he's telling me that everything I'm doing is right.
Wow.
It's kind of like a class, you know, when you go to class, you go, I was thinking that way, but he's really has locked me in that direction. And so I love talking to people because, you know, when I'm talking, I am the truth. Okay. So I'm sorry. You call it arrogant. You call it overconfident. I've done it. You know, I've been on the private jets. I've had any type of car. I can walk on a parking lot and point at the car and actually drive out of there with that car, no matter what it is, if I wanted to. So with that being said, that means that any tailored clothes, any type of food, I have done that. First class, not an option. Okay. So when you're talking to somebody who is trying to tell you that you can be great, you're talking about is telling you, get those negative people out of your life. I'm telling you that do not limit your opportunities based on your age. So many people give up at 40. They look in the mirror, don't like their shape, don't like who they're with. And I'm going to just keep saying, Rushion, he keeps telling people, okay, it's the relationships. I'm telling you, who surrounds you can stop you.
Oh, you got to be careful. You have to know the signs. You have to figure it out. You have to, you know, ask the right questions.
Your pastor can stop you.
They're doing with their life.
Your children can stop you.
Yeah, that's right.
The person who you say you love can stop you if they don't believe in your dream. If your dream is not to go to work and do a 9 to 5, but your dream is to open a bakery or to start being an entrepreneur, and the person you love said, I don't think that's a good idea, that person needs to get out of your life.
That is so true, because sometimes it is the time that we want to transition. Right. And you've been in a marriage for 16 years and you've been in a 9 to 5, and all of a sudden now you got to jump into, you want to jump into entrepreneurship, which is going to be outside of those hours.
Yes.
Right. So you and that person is like, no, you're going way too much, and I need you home. I want to get a divorce because, you know, you're spending way too much time trying to get this business going. And what about you? That is really true. That happens all the time.
It happens all the time. But guess what? People are ashamed to admit it. People are ashamed to acknowledge it. You know why they say that? Why they're ashamed? Because the word selfish has been misused for too many years.
Yes. Okay. That is so true. Like you're being selfish.
The only way you're going to be successful in life, Renee, you have to be selfish. You have to look in the mirror and say, you know, this is all about me. I have to put in the time, I have to put in the hours, and I have to deliver because these are my dreams. This is not my child's dream. This is not my partner's dream, my girlfriend, boyfriend's dream, or my boss dream, or my pastor, my church members, or my dog's dream. It's my dream. It's time I put the time in it to make it happen. That is a selfish way of thinking, according to a lot of people.
It is, because they want to have that motivation that you have to, you know, to be able to be a go-getter and not be emotional about what others are thinking about you making those moves.
Absolutely. And so when we look at what you're trying to do with your show, I'm inspired.
Thank you.
Because I know the number of people who tell you why.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm gonna tell you something here, team. Anybody listen to me? When you're trying to pursue your dream, you can't explain it to everybody. People ask me what I've learned. First of all, here's a rule with me: if you call me and you ask me what I'm doing, that's going to be a very short conversation. Because you call me, I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
If you call me, Renee, you should be telling me why you calling me. Right. Please don't call me and say, "What's up?"
Right.
Just checking in.
Okay.
Dude, I'm not the wrong person to be checking in on. Now, you should call me and bring value to this conversation by telling me what's up on your end.
Right. Okay. I like that.
Oh, yeah. I was talking about my staff. They'll tell you, Rushion, you hang up before I say bye. I said, well, I was through talking. I don't know. You had something else to say? I was through. I was done.
being so short and like rude.
Look. When I'm through talking, Renee, I'm through talking. What are you talking about now? Okay, I thought the conversation was over because I was through talking. So
wow,
I was done. Now, so if you calling me about something else, you should have jumped that early in the conversation before you got to the point where I was through talking.
Right.
We ain't gonna pick up no information out of my mouth. No, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. And that's just the way you deal with your life. You put your life to a point where it's important to you. You put your life to a point where the things you're trying to accomplish are something that's being accomplished because you want it to happen.
Right. Exactly. And that's really, the fulfillment of your life when you know that it's like you're destined to do something.
Yes.
And there's so many detours. I know that I've been through them too, thinking I was going to be a QVC host, HSN, and was totally obsessed with it. And it never happened. But then I get onto this lane, started out, reporting, and I was on a TV show, then reporting out and about, and then to the show. And I never thought that my show would be the way that it is today. But that's all about having a vision. It's about having a vision of what you want.
But you had nobody to go to tell you how it could happen, but you had a whole lot more people telling you it won't happen.
Yeah, like y'all don't believe in that. Like I don't even see how she's going to do that. Like Facebook Live, like what, really? And that was kind of the new thing when I started. I was on Facebook Live, right? I was just starting out and just was on Facebook Live, like with my phone and interviewing people, in the studio. And that's kind of how it started. And then it came to this platform where I can interview people from all over the world, and all different types and everything. So, over the years, it's been, it's been great. And it's been, more than 10 people. So it's like my work looks pretty good.
Well, the thing about me, and congratulations, first of all, let's say that. Okay, let's because a lot of people, think you got to do a certain amount of effort, a certain amount of talent to be successful. Success is based on being consistent. Okay, if you can wake up every morning and you're living the dreams that you want to live, or pursuing the dreams that you want to pursue, then you're being successful. I don't care if you're a garbage truck driver, I don't care if you're an IT expert, social media influencer. If that's what you want to do, and it gets you out of bed on time because that's what you want to do, then you're living the life that you want to live. And so what makes me unique is that I have the ability to communicate. And so, and I read a lot. I understand people's lives. And here's an example. Like a Monday ago, I had 4 different guests on my show. And one was a James Beard barbecue chef.
Okay.
One was a civil rights leader, one was a financial expert, and the other 2 were the host of Entertainment Tonight.
Wow.
All in one day. So you couldn't get 4 uniquely different interviews. So the barbecue, James Beard, was Rodney Scott. Rodney Scott on Netflix. He's a chef table. Everybody should watch that. An amazing motivational hour of how somebody can tell you you're not going to make it and you become the best in the world.
Wow.
And then I had a conversation after that 1 hour later with civil rights icon Al Sharpton. And I had to read his book.
Yeah. So what you're